Hello all sentient beings and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk about all news, comics, and media related to the... On this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode, we review Transformers Galaxies Issue 5. We check out a behind-the-scenes commercial with Bumblebee, and we see some interesting concept art from the Bumblebee live-action movie. Today is Friday, March 13th, 2020, and this is episode 172 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that's always being mistaken for Moonbase 2, but our complete lack of anime discussion continues to be our identifying trait. I'm your host Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hello. How are you doing, Daryl?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. Did you bring anyone else to talk Transformers with us?
No.
Oh.
Just me and the voices in my head.
I guess those will have to do. Let's talk Transformers. We're going to start off the show today with a little bit of sad news. We talked about it earlier on the toy show, the unfortunate passing of David Wise, Generation 1 writer. He passed away earlier on, or late last week, I guess it was, due to lung cancer. He'd been battling it for a long time and unfortunately succumbed to it. And we just want to pass along our heartfelt condolences to his family and friends. Yeah, he was a great writer and really contributed an awful lot to our collective childhoods. So let's get into the start of the show with talking Donatreons and donations, and we're lacking donations. We haven't had anybody new step up in a little while, but that's okay. We've got lots of people that are currently doing it. They are awesome. I hear a little whisper that there might be something happening with our current Donatreons, so keep on the lookout. Anybody out there who's currently a Donatreon of ours, and we might be in contact in the next little while. So, yeah, that's fun.
There's also going to be a bonus if you're subscribing to the Patreon audio feed.
Oh, that's right. Tell them about it, Jeremy.
Charles and I recorded a special session of Empire of Rust with Mike, but this is kind of like a little side story, multiple episodes. It was a lot of fun to record, and those are actually going to go out on the Patreon feed in the next little while. I'm not sure the exact release date, but we will let you know. But make sure if you support us on Patreon, make sure you subscribe to that private RSS feed in your podcast player, and that way you'll get it automatically. If you subscribe on PayPal, make sure you're in our Discord, because we will post a link to where you can get it in the Donatreon channel in the Discord.
Awesome. All right. So if you're looking to, maybe support us, but you don't want to, commit every single month, you can buy merch from our, TeePublic store? I can't remember.
Transmissionspodcast.com/shop. It goes directly to our TeePublic store.
Cool. So you can buy some merch from our website. Just go to transmissionspodcast.com/shop, and you can go in there and look up all the cool, crazy crap that we sell. Pretty much most things that you can buy with our logo on it, cups and bowls and t-shirts and tapestries and shirts and pants and boots and pillows and lots of cool, crazy stuff. And while you're there, you can take a look and see what our friend of the show, K-Girl, has got for sale at Superstar K, and she's got a whole bunch of cool designs that she's done and put up there for sale as well. Lastly, before we get into the show, we've got the most recent episode of Empire of Rust, episode 19, How Low Does the Metal Boat Go? This will be out on Monday, March 16th, and everyone who's been following that, make sure that you get that one to continue the adventure. Now let's get into comic news. All right, and first up in comic news this week, we have a process from Alex Milne showing his line art, his inks, and then the final colors for his cover for Transformers versus the Terminator. And this is something that's coming out quickly. I can't wait to read this thing. I actually don't see a release date on here, but I think it's coming out, I believe, in March sometime. So yeah.
I mean, it's definitely this month, but with IDW, who knows?
That's true. So yeah,
It'll be out when it's out.
This is showing Alex's cover for the book. I know it does have a bunch of other covers, but you get to see the process here, his layouts, then then he inks it up, and then you get to see the final colors. This cover is just awesome, so really great work by Alex. Really, I'm not surprised, but really looking forward to this series.
Did he do the colors on this too?
I don't believe so. He does. I mean, Alex doesn't really do a lot of colors, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was Josh Perez doing the colors on it. But generally, he works with Josh Perez, right? Yeah, not entirely sure who it is, but
it looks great.
Yeah,
regardless.
Big time. And so I'm really looking forward to reading that and seeing his work on the inside. So next up, we've got a cover from for Transformers, the ongoing issue number 20, and this is from a new artist, new to the series. This is Ed Perry, and I guess he's been around for a long time as a fan artist, and he's finally getting some official work. And if you remember, John Paul Bove, when he was on the show here, he spoke very highly of Ed. So it's nice to see him get some official work here, if only just a cover.
It looks really good. He Nightbeat and Strong Arm.
Mm-hmm. And that's not Bumblebee.
Oh, Goldbug, I'm guessing.
No, I would say it's probably more of a like a hubcap or something. Although hubcaps usually got a red face, right? But I would think a hubcap in that capacity, or a bumble jumper. Ooh, that would be a deep pull. They pull the bumble jumper out there. Yeah.
And then you got the really eerie looking Rat Bat there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. So we got a couple really cool covers that are coming up, and those are really neat. But that's all for comic news. Let's move on into our review.
We are reviewing Transformers Galaxies number 5. This was out last week. This is a new storyline with Cliffjumper. The Constructicon arc ended last time. This is written by Kate Leff and Cohen Edenfield. Art by Alex Milne. Colors by Josh Perez. Letters by Jake M. Wood. And the editors are David Mariette and Tom Waltz. There are 4 covers. Cover A has Cliffjumper being hounded by Bumblebee fans looking for autographs. And this is by Alex Milne and Josh Perez. Cover B shows Cliffjumper haunted by Bumblebee as Bumblebee is in the reflection. This is by Sarah Peter Drochet. Retailer Incentive A has Cliffjumper near a Bumblebee statue, and he's just taking in all of the Bumblebee praise. And this is by Anna Malkova. Retailer Incentive B has Cliffjumper trying to talk to a scary-looking Deathsaurus. And this is by Kay Zama and Josh Bertram. So, Daryl, we if you saw Trip to the Store, we saw which one you got this week. But out of the 4, which one would be your favorite?
Yes, you did see. I did buy cover A, so that's the Alex Milne cover. And I'm really very happy with the cover that I got. It's a great cover from Alex. And all of these covers really do have a lot to do with the story. And that's usually something I like to look for when I'm buying covers is part of the story representative in the cover or represented.
As opposed to the last ongoing we did where none of the covers.
That's true. Yes, exactly. So all 4 of these really do have a bit of the story represented here. And I really like Alex's. It there's a lot of detail there. Really, I mean, Kate Zama's is just dark and awesome. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the one that I picked. Alex's is a really good cover.
Yeah, I think there's not a bad choice this week.
No,
but if my store has the Kazama Josh Bertram one, that's the one I'm going to try to get. That I really dig her art, and it like you said, it looks spooky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks great. All right, let's get into the story itself. This is titled Wannabe Part 1. On the planet Probat, a world that exports Energon to Cybertron, Deathsaurus and Cliffjumper have arrived to inspect the facilities. From the beginning of their mission, the local organics seem to be whispering about Cliffjumper. Could it be him? Might Bumblebee have returned? Cliffjumper is unsure why Deathsaurus chose him for this mission, and Deathsaurus hasn't given him much of an answer other than security. And as they reach the foreman of the facility, the foreman's excited to be visited by their savior again, and Deathsaurus plays off Cliffjumper's confusion as his humbleness. It's all made clear once the foreman announces to the crowd that Bumblebee has returned. Deathsaurus then explains that they see via echolocation, and they're big fans of Bumblebee. Then he shoves Cliffjumper to the crowd to distract them while he talks to the foreman. Overwhelmed by the attention, Cliffjumper recalls past occasions where he's been confused for Bumblebee. First by Orion Pax, then Windblade, then Starscream, and he's sick of it. Before he can explain it to the locals, though, he's invited to visit their home spire. He's taken to a dark room, and then they burn some substance that they use to create light and warmth. They explain that they eat it, and it changed them to be able to see in the dark, and in turn, they change it, and they use it for building materials and fuel. Cliffjumper realizes that it's essentially their waste, and they say that they use what they need, and then they send the excess to the factory to be refined further. And as they explain this, the fire dies out, and then the room glows bright purple. In the factory, the foreman is explaining that they're a little short of Energon, or a little short in their Energon delivery. Deathsaurus isn't buying the explanation, and he senses some Energon hidden behind the wall and punches through it. As he discovers this Energon, Cliffjumper is returning to the facility to search for him. He arrives just in time to see Deathsaurus transforming into his dragon form and incinerating the foreman. Cliffjumper shows the Deathsaurus the crystal that was left from the fire that the locals burned. It's hyper-refined Energon, and since he was drained due to the rationing, exerting his energy from transforming and incinerating someone, Deathsaurus consumes this crystal, and he approves of the quality. He then gets Cliffjumper to explain exactly how he got the crystal, and then wants to know exactly where to go to get more. He wants to burn down the towers and take all of the resulting fuel back to Cybertron. Cliffjumper doesn't want to help, though. The locals are innocent in all this. Seeing that Cliffjumper isn't going to go along, Deathsaurus shoves him into the wall and gives him one more chance to go along with him. To be continued. So I thought this was an interesting story, obviously playing on the Cliffjumper and Bumblebee look-alike thing, but I like how early on in the book, there's a panel where you're seeing everyone from the perspective of one of the Probat organics, and it's essentially, you're seeing it in black and white, and really kind of plays off why they're making this mistake, and they essentially don't see color. I really like that. I don't know if I've seen a panel kind of displayed like that before. I thought it was a really neat effect. I really, like, until, we started seeing the previews and stuff, I'd forgotten that Deathsaurus was in this book. I like seeing this, like, pre-Decepticon Deathsaurus, and he's still a jerk. So not much happened in this issue, but I'm expecting the second part of the story, we're going to get a more action. But the art was great. Nice seeing Alex and Josh back on a book. And the story, it was interesting and intriguing. I'm excited to see where it goes. Daryl, what are your thoughts on this?
I thought it was great. The pre-factioned characters of Cliffjumper and Deathsaurus were just really done well. Their characterizations were spot on. You mentioned Deathsaurus being a jerk, and he's, you're right. I also found him to be completely and utterly manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
Cliffjumper, on the opposite, was completely confused and unknown to himself as to what he's supposed to be doing here. Security for Deathsaurus, that's the humor in that is just crazy. The he's a freaking dragon, right? Like, I mean, he's twice the size. He's a formidable piece of machinery, but right from the start, you could tell Cliffjumper had some hesitation as to what the hell he's doing here. And then he realizes that he's here because of the Bumblebee lookalike, and that would piss you off. I mean, if it's happening, it's been happening your entire life, right? Come on.
Especially when they can't even get his name.
Yeah, so that sucks. I'm curious to see, because obviously the Cliffjumper is really, he's becoming attached to these what are they called? Probates?
Probats. I mean, they're essentially bats.
Yeah. So they definitely have, they've gotten on the good side of Cliffjumper, and Desaurus, he's being Desaurus, and I want, there's some really interesting stuff here that's going on with regards to what's gonna. This is a planet full of these probats. How are they going to kind of end this? What's the final end of this? Desaurus and Cliffjumper are not going to kill an entire species, but they're here for this energon. Are they going to get it? That's the big question. Why are the probats hoarding some? That's another question, right? I'm really curious as to where the story's going to go. They only got one more issue. I mean,
yeah, this is 2-issue arc.
This is only 2 issues. I mean, the Constructicons had 4. The next one's going to have 3, but this one's the shortest one of all, and it's only 2 issues. So that kind of sucks. But as far as the art goes, this is Alex Milne, doing Alex Milne. He's rocking it here. And it requires pointing out that Alex had a heart attack while doing this issue.
Oh, that's when this happened.
Yeah, so he had to go in for bypass surgery and continued to work on this book while he was in the hospital. And I asked him what page he was working on, and he actually said he inked half this book while he was in the hospital, and he actually drew the page that is the previous page to Desaurus transforming. He drew that while he was in the hospital bed. And
wow.
There was another page too that he said he drew a bit of, but that entire page he drew while he was in the hospital. But he inked half the book while he was there. So, I mean, you can't tell the any lack of quality or anything like that. So I'm really impressed. When he mentioned that he was actually laid up and not even at home in his studio for that. So I'm really impressed by that. A lot of people would take a heart attack as time to slow down and maybe take a break, but the fact that Alex just kept going and working is just a testament to how much of a professional he is.
Yeah, it's also a testament to the state of the comic industry for freelancers.
That's true. That's another way of putting it. Yes, exactly. Perhaps he should have been.
That he felt that pressure. He had to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, he probably shouldn't have had to do that. Somebody, possibly IDW could have stepped in and said, "Hey, we got this for you. You're going to get paid for the, your time off." But he's a freelancer.
The book's going to be late anyway.
Yeah. So
not your fault.
But so that kind of sucked. But he's a professional, so he's got it done.
Yeah.
His art is fantastic. I mean, you look at the page where Desaurus is transformed. It's a full page. He's the fit character is fully splayed out and that's epic, man. I honestly I have no reservations when Alex Milne's doing the art on a book. You're getting good art when he's doing a book. So
yeah. Well, and then look at the preview of the cover for the next issue with the stained glass. And I think we talked about that on a previous
That's right.
issue when this art was announced, and this is drawn and colored by Alex.
Well, he did the flats.
Oh, he did the flats.
Yes, because he knew where he wanted the colors to go. Yeah.
Yeah, he knew exactly how he wanted it, and it's just amazing. So, very, very happy that he's doing okay now. Mm-hmm. This book was. I like a lot of the new artists on the book or on the books. I mean, it's kind of settled in now, but just returning to Alex and Josh, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, this is what we had.
Yeah.
Well, that's our comic review for this week. Next week, I believe we will have the next issue of the ongoing.
Well, let's hope.
I think we got a review copy for that already.
All right. Well,
next week, Transformers 18. For sure.
For sure. Okay. Well, then let's move on to Transformers media news. All right, and in media news this week, we got a listing for some concept art from the Bumblebee movie. Bumblebee was supposed to have a sledgehammer that I don't remember him using, but maybe it was in a scene or in a flashback that I don't remember. It's interesting because it has the Volkswagen logo on one side and then the Autobot emblem on the other side. It's fun, whatever. I don't know how that would have fit into an alt mode or anything like that, but it's movies, so whatever. Also, in kind of movie news, the Bumblebee from the Bumblebee movie appears in a new commercial for Direct Line. So this is a phone company, I guess. I don't know who Direct Line is. Yes, it's a UK-based insurance company. All right, well, it's not a phone company, but yeah, there you go. And they are using the CGI model for Bumblebee. So he is in his car mode, and then in his robot mode, he transforms, I think, twice, actually, in the commercial. So, yeah, so that's fun. So, yeah, a little bit of... And in Cyberverse news, we got some behind-the-scenes information on how they shot a commercial for the toys. So this is vaguely toy or vaguely alt mode related, but more it's kind of bordering on either show. So yeah, so if you wanted to see how they made a commercial for their Cyberverse figures, take a look at the video here. It's kind of fun. And lastly, another Soundtrack Saturdays. They're doing a lot of these, and the Soundtrack Saturdays is another thing on the YouTube channel. The song is called Facing Disaster. It's just a song from the cartoon, the G1 cartoon. And it's mostly a Decepticon song that you would have heard when they were starting to show their ship in the, in the ocean or something like that. It's very 80s. So yeah, cool.
Are they just going to go through this entire album?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, but
there you go. So yeah, that's media news. And all right, so let's move on to convention news. All right. You're doing this because this is your section. Yeah,
this is my section.
I can shut up.
Charles is gone for 1 week, and it's just like, who's doing what?
Nobody remembers anything.
Yeah. In convention news this week, TFCon has announced their customizing class figure for Orlando. And I know this really should be in the other show, but I forgot to put it in. So we're going to talk about it here. The figure is the Flame Toys Fury Model 01 Optimus Prime Nemesis version, and they're going to be creating Delta-powered Commander. Essentially, it's like going to be a blue Optimus Prime with some yellow highlights and looks like some like weathering and on some of the like silver pieces that you paint. It's going to be a heavily painted figure. As you know, the Flame Toys model kits come pre-painted, so this will be mostly black. You can see why they chose the Nemesis version, and then most of the customizing class is going to be painting and maybe adding some bits. I see some like on his shoulder. It looks like they've added some bits. It's interesting that they're not doing a transforming figure this year. Usually these are transformer or like actual transforming figures, but the model kit I think is a good choice. Mm-hmm. You can do a lot with. So what do you think of this figure?
It's fun. You think you're going to have to actually build it first too then? So that's going to add another
I would think so.
Hour and a bit to the construction process.
I mean, I would think that, why would you not build it? But they would have like tools and people to help. Mm-hmm. So it would probably go faster than if you were doing it by yourself.
They're fun. They're a fun build, and it's a good way to get these products into the hands of people that may not have bought them in another setting. It's a neat figure. It's definitely the stylized Optimus. So if you wanted to just test out, if this was something you have always wanted to try, a customization class, doing a figure that doesn't transform and just kind of has some articulation is always a really good way to go, because transforming figures can be really touch and go because you've got to get them right. the places that touch, in the alt mode might stick, or they might peel the paint away when you transform them into the other way. It can be tough, but an articulated action figure, is still going to have joints on it, but you can make it so that they don't really grind away on each other. So I think it's a good point.
These are so posable.
Very, very posable. Yeah. So I think it's a good idea. I think it looks good. They're going to give you the paints so you can do them as this what is it? The Delta powered commander, the blue Optimus. But
it's essentially what the Diaclone colors.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, you could change it up if you wanted to. I mean, it's blue, but he's got yellow windows. What's to say you don't want to paint him entirely yellow and give him blue windows? I mean, It's a custom class. You don't have to conform. It's custom. But it is saying that the class is sold out. So we're really just only talking to the people who have already gotten into the class. But yeah.
If you did get into the class and you did this, send us pictures. We want to see what you did.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see.
Awesome. Well, that's convention news this week.
All right, cool. And that's going to do it for this episode of Alt Mode. Thanks again for everyone for listening. And I forgot what is said at the end, but that's fine. There's going to be some end credits where everything's going to be told to you what you need to know. Remember to check out the Empire of Rust show that's coming. And if you are a Donatreon, then you remember to check out those special episodes that are going to start popping up. So those are just for you for now. So, yeah. And, other than that, I think we're good. Thanks for joining me, Jeremy. Yeah, it's a fun night when you and I get to podcast because we generally don't argue very much.
No, we don't. We are the nice hosts. It's all Charles.
It's all Charles. He's such a jerk. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. But just because this episode is over doesn't mean the Transformers fun has to stop. Join us and other Transformers fans on our Discord chat server by visiting transmissionspodcast.com/discord. If you would like to learn more about how you could support the Transmissions Podcast, just visit transmissionspodcast.com/support. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week.